Yo, what's up guys? Welcome. Welcome to another replay analysis video brought to you by me, ViBE, and Plasmid. Plasmid hitting us up once again. Plasmid, you're crazy! Thank you for doing so many replay analyses. This time around, we actually have Reynor versus Serral, which is, I wouldn't even classify this as GM ZVZ. This is like top level pro ZVZ, which if there was a league that could be above GM, this would be where it would be. There is a major difference between a top level pro and a GM Zerg. So I'm not, yeah, this is pro level. Top, not even just pro level, top level pro ZVZ. Serral, I would say, is the best Zerg in the world, and Reynor is pretty close. Like, Reynor has actually come around, like, really recently, and he's insane. Super good Zerg. Serral has proven that he's, like, legit. Like, I'm not even kidding. If I even include Koreans, I actually would say Serral's the best Zerg in the world. Serral's nuts. This guy is insane. So I'm going to do my best to analyze this for the stream and the YouTube channel. Hey, YouTube, what's up, guys? But yeah, we'll do our best to analyze it. I feel like I can probably do a pretty decent job at talking about why they do things. But in no way would I ever be able to execute like they do. These guys they're nuts. Really good. God, the music's always so loud. Alright. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys. In a replay analysis, what I basically do is I talk about what someone does or is doing, things they could do better, or things that, you know, things I think they're doing well and things I think they could do better. In this game specifically, I don't really think we're going to be talking much about things I think they could do better because they're insane. So we'll just talk about, we'll just try to like break down their strats and their theory as to like why they do stuff, why they're doing what they're doing. One player going for a 16 hatch, the other one going for a 17 hatch. This means that Serral, I'm going to pause it really fast and tell you why they're doing this. Serral is going for a 16 hatch. They're both macroing, okay? Right now they're both playing a macro game. But Serral is doing a build that is 100% going to destroy. It has a higher chance, okay? Not 100%. The chances of Serral defending a potential 12 pool, 13-12, anything where it's a pool before an Overlord. The chances of Serral defending that are higher now than Reynor's chances of defending an early pool. And the reason why is because if Serral goes for a 16 hatch, his hatchery is going to be done faster than Reynor, who is going for a 17 hatch. And the reason why this is important is because when the hatchery is currently being built, if a hatchery is under production, okay, it's currently being built, it's in the big egg form still, it has no armor, which means the hatchery dies 20% faster than when it's done versus Zerglings. A Zergling does 5 damage, okay? Now, if you have 6 Zerglings pounding on a hatchery while it's still being built, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, it's like 5s all across the board. So it's 30 damage every time a Ling hits it, if there's like 6 Lings hitting it. But if the hatchery's done, now it's doing 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, because the hatchery gets 1 passive armor when it's done. And now I have to sneeze. 1 second. Holy crap, sorry. Oh, man. Talking a lot. It really irritates the nose, boys. I apologize. I muted it, actually, but let's get going. Get back into it. So, that's all it means. Serral's build here is better suited for someone who's going to all-in. But it's a very slight downside in the sense that if you go for a 17 hatch, it's slightly more economical. Because if you go 16 hatch, there is a high chance you're gonna larva cap just for a split second on your hatchery, and you're not gonna be having a drone as early to mine minerals on an extra mineral line or a mineral patch. That's about it. It's very minor both ways, but yeah, that's all it is. Reynor's is more greedy. Serral's is more safe. But neither player really, like right now, Reynor gets the advantage because neither player is going to be aggressive. But again, it's very minor. I actually like Serral's build better because it's such a minor gain. But I would say the gain out of economy is less than the gain out of how much advantage you get against someone who 12 pulls. I like Serral's build better. Both players going for 18 gas, 17 pool after their hatch openings. So Reynor is 17, 18, 17, whereas Serral is 16, 18, 17. So neither player is really going to have a lead in terms of like speed of Zerglings. So both players still have, you know, up to this point have 100%. They're totally fine with, you know, playing a mid game here. The game is actually, you could say to a blind eye, this game is even. That's like 100% even. But the real story here is Serral is probably behind by about 15 minerals. That's about it. Like 15 minerals is basically nothing. It's pretty insignificant. Reynor is actually only behind on speed because he didn't start it on time. He started it when he had like 20 or like 12 gas or something. But Reynor is the one choosing to go for more drones. So it's all right. I'm gonna let this go just a little bit further, then we're gonna pause it just for a second. Okay, we're gonna pause. So Serral played a safer build. Serral took immediate lings and took a third faster. This is more of a standard build. Reynor took a third, just slightly behind Serral. But what Reynor's doing is Reynor has actually been droning the whole time. So Reynor's going for the more reactionary macro-based style here. It's greedier, basically. He's going for the greedier style. He didn't open up with any lings to cover his third. Both players did pull off a drone on their gas, so they're both, you know, neither one of them is going for like this heavy fucking timing. I didn't actually watch the beginning of this game in this tournament, so I don't actually know what tech that he goes into for the start. But it could be anything. It's still, he hasn't chosen it. It could be anything, though. It's probably going to be Banelings. Most of the time, it's going to be Banes. But it could be anything. But what Reynor's basically doing is he's going, all right, well, as soon as I see with my Overlords you moving out of your base, I'll then make some Zerglings to react to it. But the one thing that's kind of risky here is, let's just say, hypothetically, as soon as Reynor moved his Overlord back, like, let's say, you know, where it is now, let's say he was here, and then he moved back. And then right as Serral wanted to move out of his base, instead of moving 4 lings out, let's just say Serral moved out 12 Zerglings, okay? Or 14 lings, and he went this way. What Serral's doing, or sorry, what Reynor's doing could easily be denied, because his Baneling nest, if he's going to make one, which he could, it's late. His drones are greedy, so he's being greedier than normal. And this third, if the lings wrapped around this side of the map, this third could get denied. And if the third did get denied, that fucking sucks in a ZVZ. And being greedy, going for the drone route, being greedy like that, it doesn't pay for itself if your third gets killed for it. Like, it actually puts you behind. Because if your third dies, now the guy who does have a third has a lot of larvae above what you have, and he can make up the drone count really fast at that point and then surpass you. So I think I like Serral's opener so far better because he has more of a safe route. There's no lings that could just randomly run across the map and start weakening his hatchery down, and there's no with his Overlord placement, there's no chance lings could flood him and do something like I just said to Reynor. Reynor doesn't have perfect Overlord placement right now, and that could happen. It could. It's not happening, obviously, as we can see, but it could. He's going for a Baneling nest. So yeah, both players going Ling Bane. If Serral does no aggression, Reynor does have a little bit of a lead, though. Because he droned harder faster. So he's had more drones longer. I would say now in this game, instead of being up like 15 minerals, now Reynor's up probably like 60 minerals. So it's still not the biggest difference, but he is up a little bit. But now Serral's droning a little bit harder. So and here's how we get. But by the way, I'm gonna just say this really fast. This is how you tell, as a big estimation of time, how many minerals you're above your opponent. Every time this up here, this drone count, is different, okay? Every time there's... You just take the drone count and you multiply that by 1 per second. So right now, Reynor is effectively mining 28 minerals a second. Right now, Serral is effectively mining 30 minerals a second. The only times these numbers don't actually equal the exact amount that they say they are is if you have one player who has, let's say he's got 28 drones and there was like 24 in the main and only 4 in the natural. Then yeah, it wouldn't be proper 28 minerals a second because you have to optimally saturate your bases. But if you have 16 saturation on your bases, effectively you can estimate that you're mining 1 mineral per second per drone you have. So every second that goes by when the drone count's different, that person starts getting like that many more minerals ahead the opponent. And up until right now, Serral has been the one who's either been tied or behind in drones because Reynor's being really fucking greedy. I think Reynor's style is basically, you know, just trying to eke out an edge early when he can, and he's also trying to use these overlords to reactively see if he needs to make lings after Serral would make lings. But again, I don't like his overlord placement for doing that. His overlord placement's kind of risky because there's no vision on the left side of the map for him. And the ramp is... He's too far away from the ramp to know if he floods. But now he's fine. It doesn't really matter at this point. They're both fine. Once you have the phase... Once you're at the point where you actually have Ling and Bane, you're fine. You don't even have to have a lot. You just have to have a little bit. And you can stall with a little bit to build more if you're getting all in. Because that's how Banes work. So right now, I'm going to pause it again one more time. Serral is the one playing defensively with a couple Ling Bane, and they're both droning still, as you can see. They're both playing defensive Ling Bane drone styles. So neither player knows what the other one's doing, as of yet. Serral's going to find out first, and I think doing this is the sooner the better. I think the timing of Serral's scout is better than Reynor's right now, because if there was no Baneling Nest here, he just saw it for the first time. Okay, but if there was no Baneling Nest here, and there was a Roach Warren right here, or something, and there was no drones really, there was like 12 roaches being made, or like 10 roaches being made, or something like that, and then there was going to be a 3-base Ling flood behind the roaches. The sooner you spot something like that, the easier it is to defend it, basically, to not die to it. Because right now, if one player is going to just go, I'm going to make drones all day, and the other player is going to go, oh, I'm just going to not make drones, I'm going to straight up just all in you. Well, the guy who's making drones is going to die. That's just how it goes. If let's say one player's supply is at 70, the other one's at like 48 because he's been making drones, and the other guy's been making roaches. Obviously, the guy who's not making roach units is going to die. So Reynor here, he pulled back his units, except for 2. He pulled back the rest of his lings to go defend and, you know, deny the scout or just stay defensive. Which is fine. I hope he scouts, though, soon, for his sake. Like, if this is going to be a game where you're going to drone a lot like this, not scouting and not knowing what's going on while making shitloads of drones is super risky. Because, again, there's also no scout. I think Reynor's playing this game really fucking risky. Okay? Just throwing that out there. Again, what if, in scouting the map, Serral did run a Ling, by the way, over here. And he even has an overlord over here. What if Serral said, you know what? You don't scout the left side of the map. You have no overlords over here, and I'm going to take a fucking chance. Let's just say he said that. And he actually flooded roaches. There was 10 roaches walking across the map right now over here. And then he's going to flood Lings just across the map straight up when the roaches get there, just to speed up the reinforcement. And 10 roaches show up out of nowhere right here when Reynor has like 55 drones or something, or 50 drones. It's risky as fuck. I think Reynor's scouting this game has not been the best. Just throwing that out there. But so I think Serral's style... Serral is playing like a really well-rounded game. This is what makes Serral so fucking good, dude. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Serral will, like, scout everything you fucking do. And he'll be greedy at the same time. Like, he just plays solid as fuck every game. I think this game already in the beginning of this game, it already shows that Serral is better than Reynor. Personally, that's what I see. So, like, Reynor's obvious. I'm not trying to talk shit about Reynor. Obviously, Reynor's like 5 times the Zerg player that I am. If I had to play Reynor, I would get shit on. Okay, so don't think I'm saying Reynor's bad at it by any means, but I do think if I'm going to talk realistically here, Serral's playing a better game than Reynor is. Okay. Like, look at this shit. He's just like keeping tabs, dude. Now he just shut down some Banes. These two Lings, actually, those two Lings were just to be Banes. He didn't scout anything. So he's playing a game just assuming that Serral's gonna macro. Risky. It's risky. It's super risky. Strategically, I think Reynor's playing poorly, but mechanically, Reynor's playing like a fucking boss. Because you can see Reynor's actually ahead because he's being greedy. This is the result of being extra greedy, right here. Like, he still hasn't seen shit. And he's got nothing but drones still being made. There's a lot of builds that could kill somebody who plays like that. Now Reynor's going for a Spire, and Serral's going for Roaches. Serral doesn't even have a layer yet. The only thing that sucks for Serral in this situation is Serral's going for a timing now. Okay, so Serral is now turning up the pressure, okay? The fact that he doesn't have a layer, it means that he's going to probably run across the map, and he's going to probably use a lot of this gas to make a lot of Banelings, and he's going to probably try to break Reynor before a Spire finishes. Really quickly, right here. It's right about where? It was there. That's when it was. Whenever this fucking Zergling, it was sooner. It was really recent to like this Ling maybe. No. This is just how Serral scouts, dude. He's fucking like super good at. Here we go. It's gonna be right here. It's this Ling, I think. Serral scouted a really quick Spire, so we're gonna see the reaction to it in a second here. He scouts the third. No drones. He scouts the natural. A banding nest while droning. He scouts the main. A layer is already started with more drones flooding. This is super fucking greedy, and Serral's reaction to this was a Roach Horn because he's going through Roachling Bane all in. There it is. He's going to do a Roachling Bane all in now against someone who's going for a Spire. That's what the plan is here for him, and I don't disagree with that. I think that's 100%. That's a fine choice. Because if he scouts it that early, like he scouted the layer when it was like 30% of the way done, or 20% of the way done. Because Serral is insanely good at just effectively scouting everywhere all the time. Now Reynor's reaction is, okay, he scouted my Reynor is basically saying, okay, he scouted my lair. He knows it happened. He's like, all right, Serral scouted my lair. I'm just gonna mass drones, and I'm gonna probably make some spines. I assume he's going to make spines. When the timing gets closer to happening, and then he's gonna just try and absorb the timing with just more shit, basically. That's really all it is. He's basically just going to probably make spines and make drones in the meantime so that when he does make spines, he doesn't ruin his own economy. And then he's going to just fucking make mutas as soon as he can, but make Ling Bane. with Spine and try to hold on until the mutas are out. And if he can hold on enough of his economy by the time the mutas are out and the mutas can then shove back, Reynor has a huge lead. But if Serral kills him, or does too much damage to his minerals, to Reynor's minerals before the mutas are out, then Serral gets a huge lead, if not wins the game. That's basically how this kind of game goes. Again, basically what all I'm saying is Reynor's doing a build that's extra greedy that will pay off if he can survive until the mutas are out. But there's a lot of builds he could die to. There's a shitload of builds he could totally die to because Reynor's scouting has been suboptimal. Super suboptimal. He has no idea how many mineral drones are here. He's not keeping tabs. Dude, this is like the third or fourth time Serral has scouted this third base. And then Reynor has no idea what tech is here.
Yeah.
He saw the Roach one starting when a Baneling tried to attack. That was about it. Yo, thank you for the sub, Anonymous. Or, what? ASOC. I don't know why I said Anonymous. ASOC, thank you very much, man. So here you go, lots of Lings. He's not really going heavy Spine, he's just going Ling Bane. That was impatient. I actually think Serral would have won this game. This is a nice run by. Okay, this was the first thing scout-wise that I think is really good by Reynor. He snuck some Lings into the base as soon as Serral moved out because you can see it with the Overlords. You know when they're doing it. So this is good. He actually is scouting that Reynor is now fully committed to an all-in because Serral is not even started a layer yet when the Spire is already halfway done. That's huge. That's a big deal. And now for Reynor's mindset here is if he can just hold this timing, he wins the game. And he sees a second round of Roaches here. And I think if Reynor sees a second round of Roaches here and sees a first round of Roaches here, it is 100% a perfect decision if he has now made a lot of Lings and he just goes, fuck it, let's attack. Because if he can kill Serral's Roaches in 2 different groups, that's amazing. I think the mistake Serral made here was not making Lings as a reinforcement unit. I think if Serral would have made like 8 Roaches to move across the map, which is what he has right here, and if these were all Zerglings that came across and made Banes, I think Serral might have killed him. I actually think he might have just won the game. But he went for heavy Roaches, which would have. I feel like this would have been good if Reynor would have gone for Roaches as well. If Reynor would have been going for like a really fast, weird 3-base Roach speed follow-up, this mass Roach flood would have been done great. But I feel like with how much Serral scouted, he scouted a lot, dude. He scouted the base so many fucking times. I feel like there was a good chance that there was not going to be Roaches, and he just kept seeing drones, Lings, over and over. I think it would have been a smarter idea to make Banes and Lings for Serral. Because if he has 8 Roaches and then like 10 Banes coming up behind it, what the fuck can Reynor do? And guaranteed, the mutas would start spawning as all the drones start dying. And there's a high chance that Serral wins the game. Because all the drones die. Like early. Like this. This should have happened a little sooner, I think. I think he made a little too many Roaches. Like if this was the first wave 10 seconds ago, this probably would have killed him. Because now what's happened is this second wave is actually going to be hitting the base after the Spire is done now, not during the building time of the Spire. Because Spire's done. And now mutas are being built before the drones are even getting attacked. Alright, more analysis, boys, more analysis. I think what he's doing, what Reynor's doing is really smart. This is a decoy base. If it dies, it dies. Okay? He should not try to defend this base. This is way too greedy to defend this base, so I love that he's sacrificing it. It can mine as much as it can, but these drones and this hatchery will die. Excuse me. They will die if Serral chooses to attack it. But if Serral chooses to attack this base, it's also a waste of time. So if I was Serral, at most I might send like 4 lings over here, or just a really tiny amount of lings, just to like basically kill the drones. But by no means should he send all of his roaches and all of his lings to kill his hatchery. That is a super waste of time, especially since he knows there's most likely a spire coming. He hasn't seen it yet, but he should know there is. The reason why you would know there is because you saw a really fast layer and you saw no roaches. You saw no fucking roaches. Those 2 things right there mean very high chance this guy's going to go for Mutalisk. So what he should do is he should actually break the natural as fast as possible. And if he can actually get in there and start killing drones, that's going to be the game right there. That will actually end the game. And he's on a timer right now to do that because, for one, he got delayed here a second ago, and for 2, he scouted a really early layer. So he knows mutas are probably spawning any second now. It's going to happen. And then one more thing. In terms of Reynor's side, I like that he made a lot of Banes. I think this is really, 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 really smart. Because there's in no fucking way is there going to be enough mutas in time for mutas to kill all of this. If he were to have made no Banes at all, and he just made a lot, like, let's say instead of making all these Banes, he made 6 mutas, or 7 mutas instead of 3. The mutas will still be building no matter what. You can't just automatically have them, because the Spire just finished recently. So the mutas would still be building no matter what, and all these drones would die. Guaranteed. But if Reynor can actually stagger the Banes, like in a line coming forward, and he can actually start blowing up enemy Banes of Serrals and also start weakening the roaches, it actually might make enough of a difference to where the Spines can actually overpower most of this army, or a lot of it, with the Queens. And then the mutas then come out and finish off. Even though there's less mutas, they finish off whatever's left. Because the beautiful thing about mutas is all you need is 4 mutas to kill a Baneling in 1 hit. You need 2 mutas to kill a Banelings in 2 hits, obviously. So you don't need a lot of mutas. The Banelings are the bigger problem here. If as long as you can get rid of the Banes, the rest of this is not as big of a deal. See, like, that was really good. He blew up most of the Banes with less defensively. And now look, Reynor's actually still managed to keep some of the Banelings alive. This is why making a lot of Banes is really good, because he's had enough Banelings to whittle down some of the front line of... He's basically absorbed all of Serral's Banelings and still has some left over. So I think this is really good, because now it's Spinecrawler Queen Bane versus pure Ling Roche at this point. There's more Banes coming in, but here's the thing. If this army can get wiped out a little bit right now in the time it takes these Banes to morph, which is another 6 seconds? 6 seconds of morph time and like 3 more seconds of travel time to get into the base. That's time that the mutas now can start killing shit, and also the Banelings might be able to zone more, Spines can kill more, more things will die up here in that 9 seconds of time. And then finally, in 9 seconds, there's going to be even more mutas out. And these mutas could actually fly over here and kill all the Banes. They totally could. Mutas can kill Banes super fast. That was absorbed really well. Yo, Pepsi Flux, thank you for gifting a sub to Traffic. Traffic, welcome, man. Those mutas absorb Banes really fucking well. And these Spines, too. Spines absorbed Banes really well. These Spines killed a lot, dude. They were definitely worth their weight. That was really good micro by Reynor. I think Reynor's execution is insane. And now, here's some more strategy, okay? We're going to talk about it. So, after what just happened, okay? Reynor executed that like a boss. He really did. That was really good use of the Banelings. He made a lot of them, which was intelligent. And it was really good use of the Banelings. Now, as soon as that little attack is over and Serral's army died, both players, Serral and Reynor, they both know Reynor's the one who's ahead now. Reynor's the one who now has map control, and he has better tech, and also the economies are even. If not, Reynor's ahead, because Reynor also saturated a third, and look, Reynor's ahead. So both players know Reynor's ahead, basically. So what's going to happen now is Reynor is going to fly around the map with his mutas, and because you want to do that, you want to make use of your units. You don't want to just fucking sit here. And Reynor can actually extend his lead by doing things like running around flying around the map with mutas, killing overlords, and also killing any random stray wrapping around run-bys that Serral's going to do. So if these mutas could say potentially find these lings or find these lings somewhere wherever they are on the map, it's just free damage that you're doing as Reynor, which is increasing your lead that much further and giving you more and more control of the game. But in doing that, he needs to be careful if he moves the mutas around that his mineral lines don't get just fucking destroyed, because the only way Serral can come back in the game now is if Serral moves out of position and gets attacked by run-bys. So the fact that Reynor is continuing to make banelings right now is very smart, because what he can do now is prevent these the quote-unquote run-bys that can happen to him while his mutas are searching for shit to kill. It prevents his drones from dying now because banelings are in position. So that's really smart. It's really good. Serral has to do this, though, because if he does not do run-bys, there's nothing that stops the mutas from going around like this. The mutas searching for shit. Instead, the mutas just go like this. Let's go straight to your base and start killing your drones and whatever, and your overlords. Serral does not want that to happen, because this would suck. This would be a lot of shit that could die. So he's keeping Reynor busy by running around all the time, and he's trying to build a transition into something that can deal with mutas. Like he's getting spores just in case the mutas do come across. He's making more queens in case the mutas come across. Or he could eventually push with the queens as well if he really wanted to. But he's keeping Reynor busy with run-bys and then saturating behind it. That's what Serral's goal is going to be. But both players know that because Serral's timing just failed. Like Serral didn't even kill the fucking drones at the natural, so that's about as bad as it can get for a timing like that. Both players know Reynor's way ahead. But notice every time he moves out, look at this shit. Every time he fucking moves out, he's making banes. That's really smart. It's super smart, because look what's over here. Look at his natural. Does he have banes over here? No, he actually moved his banes out of position. That's fine. I don't know. It's kind of risky to do that a little bit. No, his bane's here. Never mind. So I didn't see these. Yes, he has banes here. I take it back. He's totally fine. These banes cause such a problem for Serral to deal with. And now it's more like testing the waters, seeing how much of a reaction Serral has made after the all-in failed. So the additional queens is super smart. I think it's really good because one queen can beat one muta, and one queen is cheaper than one muta, and also one queen does not take larva, whereas one muta takes larva. So what all of this means is if one guy has a muta lead right now in the game, you can actually make queens and still make drones. So if we look at the income tab, watch this shit. Serral's ahead because it sounds weird, right? Even though Reynor's the one who's still ahead in this game, okay? Serral's actually the one who's ahead in economy. He has no map control at all. But Serral's ahead in economy because he's now using all of his larva to make drones, while Reynor now is using his larva to use map control. He's making lings and he's making mutas because he wants to pressure Serral now. And if he can somehow find an opening to do that, to kill a base or kill drones or whatever, that's fucking really good. That's great. But the queens are going to make a bigger problem for that, because queens, if you have a lot of queens, you can actually absorb a lot of lings and a lot of mutas all at the same time, especially if you're fighting over spore crawlers. Queen transfuse is very good. It's super strong. So, yeah, the fact that Serral's the one who's now ahead in drones is super good, and the result of that is because he's making queens. I also really like that he's keeping banes here too. I'm going to pause it one more time and tell you guys one last thing. These guys are both playing fucking super smart, dude. The reason why these Banes are so important is because the only thing that could win the game right now for Reynor would be, there's no way he can make a shitload of metas right now. Look at the overall gas, okay? He's got 139 in the bank. He currently has 7 metas out on the map, and he currently has 2 in production. So let's just say all the gas Reynor currently has, and all the metas he already has, he could have 10 metas, okay? He could have 10. One Spore Crawler can kill about 4 mutas by itself. But it costs larva to do that. So Serral's not going super crazy on spores, which I think is actually better. And I think I'm going to probably change that in how I play as well. I actually sometimes go kind of crazy on spores. But he's only made a couple spores. 1 spore. He's making 2 spores in the main, 1 spore in the natural, and he's making 2 spores in the third. He's made 5 in total. Okay? So those 5 spores is the equivalent of, they're worth their weight, I guess, in the equivalent of 20 metas. In terms of like what they could kill if there was random fucking attacks all over the place. But obviously if we have 20 metas fighting 1 spore, that spore will die. Because 1 spore can beat like 4 metas at once, but it cannot beat 20 metas at once. But that's what where the queens come in. He's making queens, which is alleviating his larva, and the queens are mobile. The queens can rotate as the metas rotate, and they can transfuse the spores, and they can also add damage to behind the spores to kill the metas. Again, 1 queen also beats 1 meta. So if the metas don't stop coming, but the queens don't stop coming, there should be enough queens versus enough metas to hold the area. And the only problem Serral would have if that's how the game kind of went, is if while he was rotating, let's just say there was also now 40 Zerglings that rotated into the queens, and they started killing the queens. That would suck, because it would hold the queens in place for a long time. And it might actually hold the queens in place out of spore range. And now queens could possibly start dying if the mutas also flood on top of the queens at that point in time. But there's banelings, so he prevents that from happening. If there was a random ass ling flood on these queens as the mutas try to rotate around somewhere, banelings can cover that. Queens can't burst lings down like banelings can, so these banelings are super smart. Last thing I'll say about this before we move on is not only do the banelings that Serral has prevent lings from trapping and holding the queens in place to kill them, but it also prevents something like a bunch of banelings over here for Serral coming into a mineral line and killing it. Because if Serral has like 5 queens, and let's say Reynor decides instead of going for a lot of meta, he goes for a lot of bane to try and kill things like hatcheries and drones. Let's say Reynor brings in a clump of 10 banelings all at once, well, Serral's banelings can blow up a clump of banelings all at once, and all those banelings just die now. Or let's just say these banelings force Reynor to then bring, instead of banelings in a clump like this, they're in a line like this, and they come in 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. 5 or 6 queens at a third base could easily kill 2 banelings at a time before they even touch drones or a hatchery. So these guys are like playing really well in terms of covering all possibilities that could happen. I think Reynor's playing a much better game right now than he was at the start of this game. At the start of this game, I think he was playing really risky, but now I think he's playing really well because he has Banes scattered while it's like intelligent what he's doing now. What Serral should do right now is he should work on tech, and what Reynor should do right now is he should work on taking a 4th base. If Reynor wants to stay on this, oh, he's actually going for roaches now. Okay, I still think Reynor should take a 4th base. Like, look at this shit, dude. Here's what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. Because Serral's a god, and I didn't watch this happen. I'm just gonna predict that's what's gonna happen. Serral's gonna grab these drones, and he's gonna mineral walk them down somewhere into here. Then this one baneling is going to blow up on all these banelings, which is then going to make this roach one-shot every baneling at that point. And if these banelings decide to turn around, half these banelings guaranteed die. If these banelings, however, decide to not turn around and keep going forward, all these queens will absorb the rest before they get to the drones, and as soon as the banelings are dead, the drones come back in mine. That one baneling, if it was 2 banelings, that would have been even better because there would have been no need for a pull at all. But the fact that he at least had that there that one baneling and one roach was designed to stop 2 banelings. It was designed to stop 2 banelings because, like I just said, 1 bane and 1 roach can one-shot together each baneling, which would mean the roach could actually kill 2 banes in time before they get to a mineral line. But that was not meant to stop like 6 banelings. So, yeah. I like that Serral, or not Serral, I like that Reynor used a lot more banes there. No, neither player knows that. It's more just like random at that point. But because you don't actually know everything that's going on all the time. But that was just Reynor basically saying, oh, let's just fucking send some maids in and see what we can do. So both players have the right idea. See how every time there's like an attempted run by, which is the only way Serral could really get like a lead in this game. There's a defense for it. That's really good, man. Now I'm gonna pause it again because something else is happening right now that's kind of cool and kind of important. And here it is. Are you ready? In this game right now, if Reynor wanted to stay on Mutiling Bane, let's just say he got Baneling speed, he started getting melee upgrades, and he started getting weapon upgrades for the mutas, like more of them. He got level 2 weapons, okay? The fact that Serral is making a lot of queens, and now he's making roaches. This would mean that roaches now can absorb zerglings and banelings really well, and queens that are being made a lot, and spores could absorb mutas really well, and now he's going into hydras. And because he has a good economy again, look at the economies, they're tied, and we explained why the economy worked like that earlier. Serral actually got a higher economy than Reynor because of the whole queen and larva freed up thing. The reason why this is now is or what's happening here basically. I'm not trying not to confuse you with how I'm talking here, but what would happen here now is if Serral stayed, or if Reynor stayed on mutas, Serral could actually make a queen roach into queen hydra army, into possibly queen lurker hydra, or like roach hydra lurker if there was a lot of banes or whatever. He could react as he sees fit, but he could make, simply put, a roach hydra army that is big enough to deal with a mutiling bane army. He could, at this point, 100%. There's no big lead for Reynor anymore in the economy. That would be a problem for Reynor, basically. So the fact that Reynor is actually now only using the mutas, he made enough mutas, which is 12, to control the map. Because look at the map vision now. We're fucking blind here, boys, for Serral. Other than these 2 overlords in top left, we're blind. There's nothing. So this whole map right here, where this white box is going around, this whole map right here is blind vision. So Serral doesn't know shit. He has no idea what's happening. And he's still preparing spores. He's got his tons of queens. He doesn't have a ton of units yet, but he is making roaches, okay? Good, which is good for him. So he basically he's prepared for mutas, but he's not going to be super prepared right now for a switch in tech, which he'll never know about for a while because he has no map control. So the fact that Reynor is going, fuck it, we're going to go into roaches now. We're going to switch into roaches while we have map control. This means that Reynor can go into roaches with a superior economy, which is super smart. Because if he has map control, there's nothing stopping him from taking a 4th base, which is better economy than his opponent. Because if you look at their mains, they're mining out their mains. Both players are mining out their mains. Reynor can easily just resaturate a 4th base. Whereas if Serral mines out in his main and he's contained on 3 bases, he can't actually take more economy. He's stuck. So Reynor will produce faster than Serral at this point. And if he produces an army that is a counter to Serral's army, which is a lot of queens and a lot of hydras, and spores and shit, that's fucking great. But Serral, I think, is also... So I like what Reynor's doing, basically. He's controlling the map, taking more economy, and he's going into a tech switch that is not being countered by Serral right now. But on Serral's side of things, he's switching into hydras and he's switching into roaches. Roach, if he goes mass roaches for now, and then he switches into roach hydra and possibly roach hydra lurker, that is now also once again a counter to a roach switch, because roach hydra lurker counters roach hydra lurker. It's like marine tank and Terran versus Terran. Like, both those armies can cancel each other out. It just comes down to positioning and micro. That's all it is. So I think what Serral's doing is also super smart, because he's not just like he's not doing things that are so hard countery to just Muta, Ling, Bane. He's making roaches. So roaches not only could stop Ling Bane, Muta, but they could also stop somebody who goes into a roach switch as well. So he's doing a really smart move here by going into roaches. Because his economy can afford it. If his economy was really bad, he couldn't do this. But he has a good economy, so he can. And if he can somehow realize that this is not mass mutas anymore, and it's just a little bit of mutas, and it's a switch, he should then also take a fourth really fucking fast. As soon as he scouts this, I guarantee, as soon as he scouts the roaches here with this, he takes a fourth base. Guaranteed. He scouted it. He has a Lurker Den already going, because Lurker Den is good against Mutiling Bane or Roach Hydra, whatever. Lurkers are good in general. They're just good units. They're fucking solid. They counter lots of different types of armies on the ground. Basically all armies on the ground, Lurkers are good against. But now that Serral realizes, oh, okay, you're actually going into, like, this is Serral again scouting. Serral scouting is fucking insane. A lot of Zergs would actually sit here defensively and just wait for the Mutiling Bane attack. But Serral pokes around and he goes, oh, okay, well, not only are you taking a fourth base, but you're also going roaches. And he saw it before the fourth is even fucking done. Like, he spots it early because he has very good game sense. He just knows when the fuck he should be scouting shit, okay? So right now, this right here, already, just seeing this right now for Serral, he goes, okay, well, all you're doing now is you're containing me with mutas. You're switching your tech into something that's stronger than just mutas, because mutas can be hard countered by a lot of things. And now you're going to try and flood me with like a Roach Ravager army, a Roach Hydra army, a pure Roach army. It's going to be something Roach based. But you're gonna try and flood me with it, and kill me because you're containing me. So that's what he knows already just by saying this. And as a result of that, I guarantee he takes a fourth base right now somewhere. He'll take a fourth base because the only way he can lose the game now is if he lets that happen. But there's nothing stopping him because he spotted it so early, and he has enough units here to stop the current amount. Look at the roach count. We got 19 roaches for Serral. We got 9 for Reynor. The reason why is because Reynor went mutas earlier, so his roach count is delayed. So there's nothing fucking stopping Serral from taking a fourth base. As soon as he realizes that this is what's happening, there's no fucking way Serral should take a fourth base if instead of a bunch of roaches here, it's double the muta count. You know what I mean? That's why he hasn't taken one yet. Because if there's mass mutas, you can't just take a fourth base and saturate it, because it'll die. So he's playing safe against mutas, but as soon as now he knows this, he doesn't have to play safe anymore. He can take a fourth base. Fourth should be started, like right now. Well, he doesn't have the money, as we see, but as soon as he has the money, he should take a fourth base. And now Reynor's just gonna like lay on the pressure probably with extra economy, like I said. So if Serral can just get a couple lurkers out to prevent the overwhelming number. Oh, that was really good. I didn't even see that. This was, you know, these banelings are pretty worthless at this point. Now that both players are going mass roach, these banelings have no purpose anymore, especially if they're not having baneling speed. Like if Serral would have gone for Roach Hydra, and there was baneling speed being upgraded, then yes, these banelings once again have a purpose. But that's not what's going to happen here at all. So these banelings are going to stay slow forever, it seems like, because both players are going into something different than that. So these banelings have no purpose now, so him just going, oh, fuck it, let's see what we can do, is great. And, yeah, it actually worked out because he killed some drones. He killed 3 drones. That's fine. Or 4 drones, sorry. That's not bad. A little bit of bonus free damage. And notice how he's still playing. Serral is still playing cautious. He doesn't have to play as cautious as he is, because he scouted these roaches. But I feel like you know, he's fucking solid, and he's just making sure he doesn't die. The last thing he wants to do is he doesn't want to extend here, I guess, to a 4th base, overcommit to defending it, and then have Reynor come down here at his 3rd and just kill it. Serral's playing extra safe, which is fine because he already has lurkers. I do think he should have taken a 4th base with his queens. Like, if he already has the creep here, so his queens can be mobile. I would love it if he actually sent his queens here to zone the mutas out and then just take the fucking base. Because he knows that Reynor's no longer going for mass muta anymore. And if he leaves his roaches kind of in the center, he doesn't have to worry about his queens getting picked off as long as there's creep here. But, okay, this is the other thing I'll say. Okay, so there is some points to this that are important. There's no map vision again, like I said earlier, for Serral. He's fucking blind. He's feeling very unsafe right now. If he actually sent his queens over here to deal with the mutas, and instead of roaches coming over here to kill the 3rd, roaches could actually be down here and over here, and they could come over here and start killing queens. It could happen. So I don't disagree with what Serral's doing. There's a lot of shit that could possibly happen. And if any part of his army dies, it's going to be very hard for Serral to come back in this game. So now what he's doing is it looks like he's actually going to wait until he has lurker support in his army to be safe, to then take a 4th base, which honestly I would say is actually a smarter idea than what I said he should do, which is why he's better player than me, because I just thought about that. I was like, oh yeah, well, what if he actually, not only does his 3rd have a chance to get killed, but the complete opposite side of his base, a 4th base that he would start to take now, has a chance to be killed because roaches could be fucking anywhere. Roaches could literally be anywhere. So I actually like that he's playing safer like this. He's securing what he has and then expanding upon it. And there's no way he can die to roaches once he has lurkers anyways. But Reynor also has lurkers, so this is also a really smart move. Because if Reynor shoves lurkers forward in the location that Serral's not currently already defending, like if, let's just say hypothetically, Reynor shoved lurkers here, 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 and here. And these lurkers could all hit the hatchery. And then he covers these lurkers with his own roaches. There's nothing stopping this hatchery from dying. Like, it can't be saved. So this is kind of scary as well. But here's the thing. These lurkers are burrowing a little bit out. The only one of them is within hatchery range, which is not ever going to be enough to kill the whole hatchery. It's going to take forever for one lurker to kill a hatchery. It'll take, like, seriously 40 seconds. But Serral just burrowed some lurkers also in the front of his hatchery. So these lurkers are going to help a lot at alleviating this roach pressure. This base is not going to die, because Serral also went lurker, and now he has lurkers in preparation, like, you know, prepared here right now to defend. Serral will hold. Serral 100% will hold this. But now this is happening, and this is going to cause chaos in Reynor's base. And this is a really good way to honestly, I'm not going to lie. Burrow movement roaches are never bad. There's no situation that they're just bad in. They're always actually pretty good, because if you have the APM, I guess, to manage them, you can always get gains out of them. Because all it takes with upgrades, once you start having upgrades, which he has, okay, he doesn't have enough yet. He's about to have. Once you have level 2 weapons, if the other guy hasn't upgraded to Carapace yet, which has not happened, you can actually have 2 roaches kill a drone over and over. So 2 roaches, 2 roaches, 2 roaches. If they just kill drone, even if they kill only 6 drones, it's like worth it. Because larva, even though it's like more expensive for the roaches dying there, larva is super important here as well. You don't want to be wasting your larva, because roaches themselves are not that expensive. And then realistically, if you have bird roaches all over your opponent's base and they let that happen, you're going to kill more than equal numbers of what you've invested. You'll probably kill like 12 drones for 6 roaches. Notice how both players are trying to shove the hatchery really hard because this hatchery is everything. If this hatchery dies, it's pretty much the game. There's really no way Serral would be able to contest Reynor if his third dies, because his economy will go down. That right now it's 2,500 income on minerals. It would go down to probably around like 1,300 or like 1,400 if this hatchery died, because this is his most saturated base. This base is undersaturated. This base is undersaturated. This is the game right now. This is everything. So both players keep trying to eke their fucking lurkers forward. Like Serral's trying to go further like this, and Reynor's trying to go further forward to get on it. But Serral's already here, and it's once the lurkers are already there, it's like 10 times harder to break it than if there's no lurkers there at all. Because if and it goes both ways. If Reynor burrowed here first, and then Serral's coming up here to try and stop it, there's a very high chance that he won't have enough time to break this before the hatchery dies. Like it goes both ways. Once you have lurkers set up, it's so much harder to like break that fucking position than it would be if you can get there before your opponent gets there. This game is turning into like guerrilla warfare at this point now. Reynor still has the lead, and this is still the cascading effect of both players making good decisions, but Serral effectively Serral failing the all-in here. This is the result of this whole game. Serral failed an all-in, and neither player is giving the other player advantages. They're both playing really well, and Reynor's just kind of like, as they keep going into the next step of Zerg over and over, Reynor's holding the lead the whole time, because he knows what he's doing. But Serral's holding on. Serral's trying to do things that are cost efficient and hold on. Now we just have more Roach Hydra Lurker coming out of Serral. And Reynor, this is now becoming a game of just like map control. See, that was an attempted fourth. He's not defending it because he's hoping that he can just get it going. Because if he runs too far away over, because again, this is what mutas provide, a feeling of uncertainty and unsafeness. See how there's an attempt at creep spread now as well. Serral's trying to do fucking something to be able to see the map again. So if he moves his army too far to one side, let's say he was over here, okay? He made a fourth base over here, and let's say his army's sitting right there. These Roach Ravager, if they were right here, they would get pushed back. They would not kill this base. But let's say an Overlord caught wind of the army being over here, or a Changeling, or something. There's something saw his army over here, and now there's a bunch of Roaches that walk in from here and run right into the fucking natural and kill these two Lurkers that are undefended. And they just wipe out the Lurker Den and the Roach Warren. Then Serral dies. Because he'll get gutted from the inside out, basically. So you have to be really fucking careful as Serral right now when you have no map vision as to where you put your army. Which is why creep spread now for Serral is super important, and he knows that. So he's trying to retake the map on his side to respread his vision. Because for Reynor, he's the one who's been aggressive the whole time. So he, like, him being over here posturing all over the place, like this Overlord tells him a lot. This Overlord tells him a lot. When he doesn't see units coming here, he knows Serral is in here somewhere. This Overlord up here, he knows Serral hasn't gone up this ramp. There's nothing actually on this ramp other than his army now. But Serral could actually run up around this way. That could happen. But you get what I mean, though. There's a lot of these little tiny things, like these Overlords here. They give a lot of control feeling for Reynor. Because he knows he's not getting fucking like, oh, there's like 30 Roaches running around this way. Because I didn't see it on the minimap. That's kind of funny. He's like, fuck this traffic jam. So I like what he's doing here with the queens. He's moving all of his queens back into the natural, and he's trying to he is trying to rotate the Hydras and the Roaches forward. The Hydras will deal with the mutas if they attack this army up front, and the Spore will help too. There's not many left But there's no there still could be remade metas. It's not a guarantee that he doesn't have to remake them. He probably won't, because as the game goes on further and further, as Roach Hydra, Lurker, Viper, as that tech develops further, mutas get worse and worse as the game goes on. But I like the queens here, not only for defending against mutas, but also in case there was a roach timing that came over here as like a side attack. The queens could actually transfuse the lurkers while also killing possible overseers that could detect the lurkers, and also they could traffic jam the shit out of roaches if they try to get in the base. Also, if Serral thinks about it and is really smart, which I honestly would not put it past Serral to do something like this, let's just say the last thing Serral could do, or sorry, Reynor could do is, let's just say there was like 30 roaches that are over here. They run forward, and they move forward with burrow movement, and they're trying to just heal through the lurker damage and get past them and go underneath the queens and go further in the base. Serral already has burrow as well. Even though he has a lot of queens here, he could actually do something like burrow some of the fucking queens in a line and have queens standing on top of the burrowed line, and the roaches that are burrow moved will get stuck. These queens, if used properly, could stop every fucking form of harass in combination with lurker. There's nothing that could get into his base. It's impossible. And then the Roach Hydra lurker over here can hopefully take a base. Yo, Bad Zergling, thank you very much for the 25 months, man. I appreciate it. It's a long sub. I love you, man. Burrowed units block burrowed units? Yes, they do. And I know Serral knows that. Serral's better than me, dude. He knows that. A Nidus can get past? Well, if it was a Nidus, that's a totally different situation that's going to happen entirely. Like an Overseer would be over here, and it would be making a Nidus over here. So it's something. It's like a completely different scenario. But for the current game, that's how it's going on, where there's just a unit posturing around the map. This defense right here is very, very good at just like having something on the side if you have to have something on the side. So I'm going to pause it really fast, okay? I'm going to explain the current situation in the game right now. Both players have a type of army. Like right now, if both players just rammed each other in the face, okay? Serral would lose. Probably. If the lurkers were not allowed to attack, is what I'm saying here. Like if both players just kept slamming each other forward over and over, Serral's army, I would say, is weaker than Reynor's army, because Reynor has just so much more fucking raw supply in this army. Because this is a lot of Serral supply. This is a shitload of supply right here. Serral has to do this because there's a potential he could die because he has no map control again. This is what Muta's provided earlier. Reynor does not have to do that because he does have map control. So look at Reynor's base. He actually has some roaches here. Okay, that's not bad. He doesn't. I guess. Okay, hold on. I take it back. He does kind of have to do that because Serral has burrow movement. So I take it back. There's burrow movement is in the game right now. So yeah, that's the thing. The reason why their supplies are so close right now is because there's still 13 roaches in production, which is 26 supply. I'm going to pause one more time really fast. We talked about the map. I'm going to talk about how this is going really fast. Right now, what Serral wants to do is he wants to find a way to shove lurkers forward to take more control of the map and take a base. He fucking needs a fourth base really bad. Now, not only is his main natural mining out, but his third's mining out too. He's running out of resources pretty hard. He needs a fourth. So he needs to start being a bit more aggressive at how he takes a fourth, because if he's not, he's just going to lose the game due to economy. Now, Reynor, he pushed forward and he forced the lurkers to burrow. Now, he backed up out of the burrow range of a lurker, which takes time for the lurker to up burrow, burrow, up burrow, burrow, up burrow, move burrow, up burrow, move burrow. Like, it takes time to fucking do that. And while that time is being taken to do that, Serral says, fuck it, I'm just going to, or Reynor just says, fuck it, I'm going to nuke your hatchery. I'm going to waste your time again. And he nukes the shit out of the hatchery and he focus fires it. All these attacks right now will kill this hatchery or force a cancel. And then as soon as he does that, what he should probably do is he should just back up. The power of Reynor's army is kiting 100%. Because you can kite your opponent into corrosive biles. And you can shove with corrosive biles if their units are getting kind of spread out. because he's trying to avoid getting hit by corrosive bile. Serral's power of his army is siege. Like, if he can set up an army in a fortified location, Serral will fucking win. But Reynor doesn't want to fight a fortified location. He doesn't want to fight for the ramp here. He doesn't want to fucking push that. He wants to push the hatchery, which is not fortified right now. It's vulnerable, so it's gonna get cancelled. And then he backs up. And then he'll like shove with biles here and there. What Serral should do right now is wherever he wants to take a base, which it's here now, he really needs to set up his lurkers before Reynor gets here. Like, if this gets hit here, like if Roach Ravager comes down this way. Okay, Serral will see it though because he has changelings here, which is really nice. Which is why he's still here. But if his changelings see an army coming this way, he 100% should get in front of the hatchery and not behind it. He's just kind of keeping his army postured in a way where if Reynor decides to come from the bottom now instead, he's not just going to be way the fuck out of position. Which is also why these lurkers are not burrowed. Like this. His lurkers take less time now to get, even though it's only like 1 second or half a second, his lurkers can now get from here faster to here because every second is important. It counts. Because he's a competent player, he has confidence in himself to look at the minimap and go, oh, you're pushing here, I'll burrow. Oh, you're pushing here, I'll move here and burrow. He's not worried about not seeing it. What he is worried about, though, is where his army should be at the exact moment in time, and he's worried about this, which is actually what's happening. So keeping his shit unburrowed allows him to come here faster. Now look at how he doesn't take a full commitment. He goes right back to where he was, and he probably will not burrow again until he sees where Reynor's army is. Now he sees him. This is really good. This is how Serral gets back in the game, guaranteed. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is never a bad idea. It's always good. Because here's why this is good. The more bases, the longer the game goes and the more bases your opponent has, the stronger this gets. So burrow movement roaches gain value as the game timer goes higher and longer. There's not a lot of units that you can say work like that. Not everything works like that. But burrow movement roaches in ZVZ gain value the longer the game goes because the more of the map gets controlled, which means it's more opportunity for burrow movement roaches to do damage. So I really like that Serral's going for burrow movement roaches. And now it's just turning into it's just map control, dude. Serral actually pushing forward and killing a hatch. That's nice. He did it because he used the opportunity of timing. The Reynor's army was busy dealing with burrow movement roaches over here. 3 of them died because actually 2 of them died. Serral lured Reynor's army into his base and then evacuated. He had 6 roaches, okay? He cut them in half. 3-3. 3 go down here, which are these 3. They ran this way. And then 3 go up here. And he lured Reynor's army up here. Not only is Serral still seeing that, because his roach is getting attacked by shit as his roaches run north and forward, but he's also dragging the army out of position to then send a second group out to just poke, see what he can poke, and he poked a fucking hatchery to death by chance. If there was nothing here, there's nothing that these roaches have no fear of dying. They could have ran forward, saw nothing, and ran back. But he saw a hatchery and he killed it. So that's great. That's good. That's good army movement. That's really intelligent, like, positioning of your shit. I'm gonna back it up. Am I a Zerg main? I am a Zerg main. Okay, this is something that's important again. We'll talk about it. I really like how Serral is using not only lurker defense, but he's also using spores. He had 3. One of them just got nuked to death. But he has spore, and there was a 3rd spore right there. And the reason why this is good is because you cannot have infinite detection The only form of detection you have as a Zerg player, you have two forms of it in terms of units. You have infestors that can fungal growth shit underground, and it pops them out of stealth during the duration of a fungal growth. But neither player really wants to be making infestors right now. Like, in the future, that might become more meta. It could. But infestors are super squishy, they're super fat, and they're super slow. And in a situation like this, they're probably not going to pay for themselves as easy. It's harder to get a setup going well with infestors. It just is. So the only other form of detection that this guy has as a Zerg is an Overseer. And if you have Overseers mixed in with a Roach Ravager Viper army, your Overseers have a limited amount of units that will take damage for them over the Spore Crawlers. So I like that Reynor's trying to Blinding Cloud the Spore Crawlers. He Blinding Clouded this one earlier, and now he's Blinding Clouding around this one. I don't think it's quite hitting it, though. But if this Overseer dies, which is his only Overseer, which has 13 hit points, all of these Lurkers become invisible. They're no longer able to be seen, and the only way they can be killed now is if he Corrosive Biles the exact spot that they are. But these Lurkers also have the Burrow Movement upgrade, which is the Hive Tech upgrade on the Lurker Den. Serral already has this. So even if the Corrosive Biles casted and they actually were going to hit a Lurker, he could up Burrow, move Burrow again before it died. Guaranteed. He could totally do that. So this basically is a fucking hard position to push with just pure ground. It becomes really annoying. Because if you move in with your Roaches first to try to kill Spores, Lurkers mess you up. If you move in first with your Overseers to detect the Lurkers and then try to, like, abduct them, your air gets killed by the Spores. Like, it becomes really difficult to deal with. And look, the Overseer just died. Now let's look at Reynor's vision. Oh, he's got a second Overseer. Never mind. He actually has a second one. But there's enough there. There were enough Lurkers here for Reynor to, you know, not feel safe pushing in, and rightfully so. If he would have pushed in, he probably would have died. It's really bad to shove Roaches into Lurkers. It's like a fucking meat grinder. It's not good. Patience is way better than that. Like, to just fucking slowly abduct things and take the game at a slower pace. But right now, I would actually say that fight right there is officially the turning point to where I think Serral's now ahead. Because of this. Look at the resources lost. Look at it. Right now, Serral has been more cost efficient than Reynor has, because that's the only fucking way both players could have the same supply when Serral was on 3 base and Reynor was on 4 base. It's the only way that this could happen, is if Serral was cost efficient. And how was he cost efficient? He was cost efficient because he played defensive with Lurkers, Static D, and some army. Meanwhile, his only form of aggression was Burrow Movement Roaches. That was it. He only attacked with Burrow Movement Roaches, which tend to be also really cost efficient. So what does this mean, and why does this mean that Serral's now ahead? Why aren't they tied? Serral's ahead now because Serral has more time. He's got more time in this game. This base, look at it. These patches have already mined quite a bit. This patch has 150 left. This patch has 445. This patch has 340. Let's look at Serral's base. All these patches are basically full. So you take the amount of time that Serral's had, or that Reynor's had this base, and if this game goes longer, this base will mine out faster than this base. And if both players at this point keep killing every expansion of each other's, they never let each other expand. They keep running around the map and just fucking each other's expansions up. Reynor will run out of money faster than Serral will. And if, let's just say they both expand a few times, okay? They both split the map in half, all right? They both take, what is that? What would that be, like 7 bases each or something? Or 8 bases each? No, it would actually be 9 bases each, I think. Let's just say this map's split in half. Serral, at this point, the game can still change, by the way. Like, it doesn't mean that this is, oh, game's over. But right now, Serral has the lead for the game to go further because he has more time with economy. And they're tied. Look at their upgrades. 1-2 for Reynor, 1-2 for Serral. look at the unit comp. We actually have Vipers for both players. We have Ravagers for both players. We have Lurkers potentially for both players. There's no... the actual army comp itself is better for Serral. Serral actually has the overall better army. The only thing that Reynor has going for himself is a lot more Ravagers. That's it. And Ravagers... You know what's going to happen to Ravagers against a lot of Lurkers and Vipers? I can tell you. Especially since Lurkers also have the upgrade already that can move them really fast up and down out of like underground and up burrow, unburrow, all that shit. What's going to happen here is every time, if Serral spots the army before they engage, all Serral has to do is burrow his Lurkers, force Reynor to run away, and then abduct a shitload of Ravagers as he runs away. And every time a Ravager gets abducted, that's 100 gas. Minerals don't really matter that much. It's easy to make more minerals as long as you have an active economy. But gas is the important part here. Gas is like the most important part of everything here. Because gas is limited. Because you're trying to... You can't just be like, oh, I just lost all my gas. Let's make a whole new 200 supply army of gas. No, it doesn't fucking work that way. Gas builds up over time with your army. You try to maintain what you have and you expand upon it. Like if, let's just say hypothetically, Serral lost 7 Lurkers. Look at his gas currently. He's got 300. 7 Lurkers is the equivalent of 1,050 gas. That's fucking expensive. Look at how many Vipers he has. He has 5 Vipers. Let's say he lost all those Vipers. That's 1,200 gas. Like, this gas is not easy to come by. What usually how the game works in StarCraft is you trade things that are cheaper to inflate your gas costing units. That's why a lot of Zergs you'll see do things like, oh, I'm going to just waste a lot of Lings to build Broodlords or Lurker or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. Something that costs more gas. Gas is huge. So right now, Serral actually has not only the army lead because he has a bigger gas investment into it, better units basically, but also, what's it called? He has more time on the expansion, like we talked about a second ago. But the game could go either way still. Like, this army's still not bad. I would just say Serral's army's a little better. The one thing that Reynor has going for him, though, is his army's more mobile. I'm going to pause one more time really fast, and I'm going to tell you what both players should be doing. Serral should keep doing what he's already doing. He should be scouting the map. Number one, but first and foremost, scouting the map as much as possible. With changelings, spread the creep, have burrowed roaches around the map to see where your opponent is. Have some awareness as to where what your opponent's doing, basically, and where he's at. That's Serral's number one rule here. Number two is make sure you're never going to get blindsided by Reynor. He needs to make sure that no matter where Reynor is, he's always ready. And if he is, Serral will win. That's just it's as easy as that. Serral's army will win if he's always in position to defend before Reynor gets there. Which is theoretically possible because Reynor's trying to attack Serral's base. So Serral has defender's advantage with defensive creep, and he can run around faster than Reynor can. Going from here to here is a lot faster than going from here to or all the way over there. See what I mean? Like, there's less travel time for Serral. So Serral theoretically can always be in position to defend. And the number 3 thing Serral should be doing is forcing Reynor into uncomfortable situations by wiping out more drones over time with this kind of shit. These burrow movement roaches. Kill some drones. Fuck his economy up. Make him waste more money on rebuilding drones. Slow him down. Things like that. And then Reynor, on the opposite coin, the opposite side of things here, if his army comp is going to be Ravager, Roach, Hydra, Viper, where the fuck are his... There they are. If he's going to go for a more mobile army, Serral should be the one going for aggression. He should be the one trying to set up attacks. And he should be the one being posturing across the map, trying to do things to Serral that are going to force him to be out of position or just like straight up take bad fights. Like, for instance, if he had, let's just say, a second group of units here, okay? Hypothetical. Let's say he attacks here with Roach Ravager. Okay? Roach Ravager right here. Serral comes over to defend it. There's a second group of Roach here with Viper or Hydras or whatever. And they're out of vision because let's say he denied this creep and it's not happening. And then Reynor decides to go around like this and he runs around. And he spots roaches on the way while he runs around. Serral then decides to move his army from here up this way. And then Reynor could be like using his Vipers to abduct lurkers or some shit into his units that are sitting up here, kill it, run away. Things like that. Aggressive tactics is what Reynor should be doing. Lots of aggression. And the one thing Reynor should not be doing is attacking in one angle over and over, because the one way you're never going to break a Zerg who's going defensive Lurker Viper is if you attack from one angle over and over. This is not going to happen. Unless they are really bad at micro. And Serral's not bad at micro.
I'm drunk. More people should sub so Vid can get drunk too.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate the 5. I guarantee there'll be at least one drinking stream. It'll happen. We'll talk more about that when this is over, just because I'm making a YouTube video right now. But yeah, I like this a lot. He's splitting up into 2 armies. That's exactly what he should do. He should not ever just be like, oh, I'm going to attack in one location at a time. That's it. No, he should 100% split into 2 armies. Because Serral is the defensive one. His army is less mobile. And look, now that he split up into 2 armies, he found a hole in the little hole in the defense. He defended it. But Serral's also doing what he's doing as well, what we said earlier. He's doing damage with burrow movement roaches. It's a really good game so far. He's doing it again. This is really good. Okay, so now look. We've got Serral here. Because you got to keep in mind too, if Reynor is not using lurkers, it's more taxing on a player to always have lurkers in position when you're trying to be more, like, the bigger the map gets and the more bases you have to cover, the harder it is to always have your lurkers in correct position every time, because there's just more variance of ways your opponent can attack you. Which is also you could say the exact same thing. It's harder for Reynor to defend burrow movement roaches the more he expands, because there's more variance in bases that could have roaches at them. At this point now, any one of 5 bases could have roaches attacking it, which is a lot. It's more, the more things you have to cover, the more confusing and hectic the game can become. But for the lurkers here, Reynor, if he can ever fight the army when the lurkers are out of position, it's not bad, because Ravagers cause a lot of problems for a concave. But as soon as the lurkers get here, he always needs to back up. He can never fight lurkers. Like that. That was really good. Both players just did a really good move. They're both just trading each other like really hard. I like Serral's style better though. I feel like, I'm going to pause it one more time and just say this. I do think Serral's style is stronger than Reynor's style, because if they ever, I feel like, here's a better way to explain it. Reynor's style is hoping he can make Serral make a mistake. Serral's style is, the way I see it, if Serral plays his style perfectly, he wins. If he does not make a mistake, he will win. If both players were to quote-unquote play perfect, Serral wins. Because Serral's unit comp is just stronger than Reynor's. Hydra Lurker will shit all over Roach Ravager. In the unit tab, we have 31 Hydras versus 20. The Roach Ravager, honestly, is kind of crap. Up here. 32 Roaches, they don't really do much. If Serral plays perfect. Are those 2 Banes? Instead it's natural. He's had him there all game because of run-bys earlier, like potentially. See, like this right here. He's trying to poke him, get an opening, but he can't because Serral's, you know, playing really well and he's in position. So it's kind of up to the players now to decide if they want to change their compositions at all or not. But Serral's style is still maintaining the same, whereas I feel like Reynor is starting to actually rotate into Hydras a little bit more now as he starts to slowly lose Roach Ravager. There's one thing that's really important though, that I think Serral's doing better than Reynor is, and it's Viper count. You really want to have more Vipers than 3. 3 Viper is not nearly enough. It can help, but it will never turn the tide of the fight. Honestly, I think the perfect number of Viper in ZVZ when it gets to this kind of a phase is 8. The reason why I think 8 Vipers is really good is because it gives you a lot of versatility and variety in what you can do with Blinding Cloud and or Abduct. But 8 Vipers also gives you the ability to continuously pick apart your opponent if the fight never truly happens, because you can continuously abduct their shit, and you have 8 Vipers abducting units all day. Like once you have 8 Vipers, it's actually worth it to abduct things like Hydralisk. It's not worth it to abduct a fucking Hydra if you have 3 Viper. You want to know why? It's because if you abduct a Viper, if you abduct a Hydra when you have 3 Viper, and your opponent still has like 8 Lurkers, and you're like, oh shit, now he's pushing with 8 Lurkers, but I only had 3 Viper, and now they're all out of energy, because I just abducted a few Hydras. Now I can't defend this base, and I lose it, and now I might lose the game. That's a very realistic problem that could totally happen if you have little amounts of Viper. But if you have like 8 Viper, you can actually be like, oh look, he's right there. I'm going to just be like, three Hydras just got pulled over. Okay, they're dead. 20 seconds later, same thing. 4 Hydras. You just abducted 4 Hydras. 20 seconds later, same thing. You guys keep moving around the map, and you just abduct a few more units at a time. Just a few. Like 3 or 4 units. By the time you abduct units like a full minute later, because you have so many Viper, the first Vipers you abducted with have fully regenerated the energy they spent a minute ago. You just literally, chip away is the perfect explanation for it. It's like a style where you chip away his army if you never truly take a fight, and it's really hard to truly just fucking take a massive engagement if both players or the one player has a lot of Lurker. Because you can't just be like, fuck it, let's attack. Because if anyone knows what it looks like when you just walk your army into like 10 Lurkers, is you just die. Like, your whole army just goes, oh, it's gone. Lurkers just cleave the shit out of it, and it's dead. So 8 Viper, super good. Super, super good. It allows you to like pick your opponent apart. Look at how effective these Roaches are going to be if he actually commits. Serral knows they're there. And he's prepared for it already. He's got level 3 weapon Lurkers just chilling. And Reynor knows, he's like, this probably be a bad idea. I'll just back up. That was the first.
Oh yeah.
Yo, Potsticker, thank you for the Twitch Prime, dude. I appreciate it. That was the first attack I would say that Reynor, he utilized it well in this phase of the game. Again, Reynor's style is all about mobility and catching your opponent in ways. You get to pick where you fight as Reynor. Serral does not get to pick where he wants to fight. Serral is basically just trying to consume the map and shove Reynor out of it, basically. Serral is, that's literally it. That's all Serral's doing. Is Serral expands, controls it, pushes forward. Expands, controls it, pushes forward. That's all Serral's trying to do. Reynor, however, is going for, okay, well, I'm going to fucking go over here, go over there. Attack, back up, go over here, go over there, attack, back up. Like, he just wants to, like, wrap around, go all over the place. And that was the first time he actually caught Serral in a bad spot, because Serral Serral started overextending. He should not have done that. His style is literally to consume and control, because his army is super fucking slow. A pure Hydra army is much slower than a Roach Ravager army. It's just not going to work. But Reynor caught him in a position here where he was like in the middle of nowhere with no Lurker support, So he wrapped around and killed a bunch of units. And look at the supply now. That was the result of it. So I feel like that right there was Serral getting a little impatient, because there's no reason why his Hydra should be here. And he overextended just a tad. He's not dead or anything like that, but a move like that might cost you an expansion. There is a very good chance he loses this base now because he gave an opportunity like that to Reynor. If Serral wants to attack on the map, he should just keep doing what he's been doing with burrow movement roaches. That's it. That's all he should do. Not move out with the Hydras like that. He doesn't lose this base because Reynor has no idea how many lurkers are here. There's only 2. If he knew there was only 2 lurkers here, he could have killed it. There's actually more here, but this specific location, he could have blinding clouded those and just overpowered the hatchery. If he would have known, but he doesn't know because it's harder to tell how much shit's there when you're actually playing the game. See, I don't really agree with how Serral moves out like that. I think Serral's really good. He's really smart. But I think when he moves out with just naked Hydras, no lurker support, I think it's really risky. And I'm going to really quickly say I think why he might be doing that is because he's just trying to do multiple things at once. And he's hoping that his opponent takes a semi-shitty fight. Like, his opponent will take a bad fight where he'll just run into a bunch of Hydras and he'll start blinding clouding him. And the Hydras just do so much raw DPS to his army that the Hydras win. But realistically, Reynor's probably not going to let that happen because Reynor's also really good. So I just think it's kind of a mistake to run with naked Hydra. But it's fucking really hard. It's 100% really, really hard to push on the map when you're the guy going pure Hydra Lurker against someone else who's really good at defending. Especially if they're going Roach Ravager, because Roach Ravager can actually kill shit as it comes forward. Like if the lurkers move forward and burrow, and Corrosive Bile starts casting on the lurker right as it burrows, you can actually kill a lurker before it comes out of burrow. You have a chance. With burrow speed, it actually might not happen. If you could probably out-micro that with burrow speed. It's just really hard. See, I like when I don't mind if he pushes like this if he brings the lurker. You need like the backbone of lurker to like not just get run down and killed. But again, it's so fucking hard to leapfrog micromanage this and also micromanage the Viper and not overextend them. It's really fucking hard. This base is going to die, but he might kill a few roaches in the process. But at the same time, this is really good. He actually... actually, no. It's not really good. I take it back. You see, this actually makes me happy that Serral's not just a fucking, like, ultimate guru savant with this style. He made a mistake. There's another hole in what he did. He left this base completely exposed without lurkers. If Reynor knew that, again... If Reynor knew that, and he pushed on this base right now, this is exactly what would happen. Roach Ravager pushes right there. Hydra's concave right here. Blinding Clouds go all over this army from Reynor. Blinding Clouds go all over this army from Serral. Corrosive Biles get cast all over this hatchery from Reynor, because you can still cast spells in a Blinding Cloud. Neither army is going to really kill the other army because they're all fucking blind. This base dies. Reynor backs up. That is what would happen if Reynor capitalized, because there's no lurkers here. There's no actual like raw fucking burst damage out of Serral's army here, because all the lurkers came back here to defend this hatch, and they came back slightly late because again, it's really hard to always have your shit in position at the right time when you're going for a lurker based style, because you don't want to just leave like 40 supply around the map and be like, fuck it, 40 supply is just gonna sit like 6 supply here, 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 6 supply here. You don't want to do that. That's so bad to just leave like a third of your army supply just around the map just because what that means is your actual army is going to be super weak in a real fight. So you have to rotate it around for realistically to keep it the momentum of your power going. And yeah, it kind of sucks that it died for Serral, but this was really vulnerable by Serral to leave no lurkers here. But Reynor didn't capitalize, so it's fine. Yeah, this is crazy. He's microing 2 groups of Hydra Hydra Lurker simultaneously while trying to attack. And this would be really hard to do. And he didn't lose either one of them. He just did a little bit of damage and backed out. The one thing I would love Serral to do right now is I would love him to make some spines. He has the money to do it. He's developing a bank because he's maxed and he's like got decent saturation still. He's got 43 drones versus 22. This game is like mostly army at this point. That's actually something we haven't really talked about. If we go back to those 3 things I said Serral needs to be doing all game, the roach part of it, he's done a fucking great job of doing that. He's killed 59 drones with roaches. For the majority of these kills are from roaches. Sure, there might be some from something else, but the majority of these drone kills are because he's been burrowing roaches around all day and wiping out drones and making it harder for Serral or for Reynor to take more of the map. I think Reynor just got put in this position where his army is inferior to Serral's, so he can never truly take a fight. And he actually just got shoved into a fucking corner on the map eventually because Serral had really good overall map control. And he starved him out. That's actually why he loses this game. That's ultimately why. Because look who's mining off a fresh base. This base could be fully saturated, but it's not for long. This base, 2 of these patches are about to disappear already. And Serral's got a brand new fresh base once again down here. He's got a fresh base still going up here for a while. This base is still going okay. Everything else for Reynor is like gone, dude. Reynor's style is definitely power early, and it kind of like runs out of gas as the game goes on. And Serral's style is like a turtle shell early, and then it just gains more power as the game goes on. So it's like opposites. It's like if there was like 2 graphs, it'd be like, you know, like one would start really high, one would start in the middle, and they would just like rotate. That's how the graphs would look if they were like for like time over power. Can you go to the units at the bottom right? It's just overlords. Okay, this right here is the end of the game. This is Reynor. If he because right now what he's doing is he's committing really hard. If he fully commits, if he could still back up. I'll say that right now. Reynor could actually back up and not have the game end right now. But he's out of money. Like his base died, so he probably wants to take this fight. Overall, Serral has controlled this game much better than Reynor has. But this army right here needs to cripple Serral or the game's over. But again, look at the supply. Okay, I'm gonna show you something. This I feel like proves my point earlier of power of army. Look at the supply. Reynor's ahead in supply. Look at the drone count. Reynor only has 21 drones, which means he has 177 army supply. But look what it is a lot of. Look at that. Look at the red chart up there. And look at the unit that has 44 of it. It's roaches. He's got 44 fucking roaches, dude. He's got 88 supply in roaches. Now look at Serral's graph, or Serral's army value. It's 148. Serral has more drones, and he's down in supply by just a little bit. But he's really down in army supply by 39. Or, no, that's right. Is that? That's 29. He's down in army supply by 29. 29, sorry. I did that wrong. He's down by 29 supply. That's a lot of supply to be down. But roaches are really not worth that much in their weight once it comes to in-game Zerg versus in-game Zerg, because lurkers, like 10 lurkers are 30 supply. They could easily kill 30 roaches, which are 90 supply, and not even a single lurker could die, possibly. Lurkers are worth so much fucking more than roaches. They really are. As long as you're in position, that's it. The only advantage roaches have is mobility. That's it. I will say that I'm going to say one more thing too. Okay, there's two things I got to say here. Number one is I think that Reynor took about as good of a fight as he could there. And number two is, back when I said roaches are only good for like mobile burrow movement harass, there's actually one other circumstance that roaches are really good in. And it's when you know your opponent is all in like this, there's no chance your opponent's going to do something like, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of lurkers now. Okay? There's no chance of something like that happening. Remaxing on roaches is not a bad idea. Because this is just raw fucking power right here. This is it. There's no AoE, really, other than a few corrosive biles, which you can easily dodge. But, like, there's no lurkers. Nothing like that's happening here. So, there's no fucking way Serral can do something like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and make a bunch of lurkers again, because you'll give me, like, 2 minutes to go ahead and do that, I assume. No, that's not going to happen. Reynor's trying to end the game, like, right now. He wants to end it, like, within seconds from now. So there's no real option you have as Zerg to defend this other than something like Roach Hydra or a pure Roach, because you're gonna have that as an answer within the next 20 seconds. Like you can't tech up and be like, oh, hold on, let me tech to something better. You just need something now. You need like a raw meat shield basically, and Serral still has a bunch of Hydras, so making a bunch of Roaches is not a bad idea right now. And the reason why Serral wins this game is because he's not all in like Reynor is. Even though Reynor took a better fight there than Serral did in that last fight, Serral can just remake more than Reynor can because he has money still. And this ultimately, the reason why Serral won there is ultimately because Serral controlled the map better than Reynor did throughout the whole mid-game for the last 15 minutes. And he starved out Reynor and forced Reynor into a position where he has to all-in like that. Even though Serral almost lost it, because the positioning was actually good for Reynor. Like, Serral was not ready for that shit. It was still enough of a lead that he had from the economy management, that fucking over his opponents, that, you know, he managed to make enough of a second round of reinforcements to win. The game's over now, though. There's no chance that Reynor wins because it's 2 base economy. The game is 2 base economy. This really doesn't count. This base doesn't really count. It's pretty much done. It's 2 base economy versus 1 base economy, and we're already at a 60 supply lead. There's no chance Serral has of losing this game now. The only way Reynor could somehow come back and win this game is with lurkers and with clever micro. Just like what Serral did earlier. But that's not happening. So he's dead. He's trying to fight with a raw fucking like brute force army, which will never work because he'll never have enough. But there's even still lurkers here for Serral, which is even worse for Reynor. But yeah, there you go, man. That's it. That's we broke that game down for you. I will say that 100%. This is my what I truly think of those players now after watching that game. I think Serral is a well-rounded player. Serral is well-rounded. Serral has amazing scouting. He's got amazing micro. He's got amazing macro. He's got amazing decision making. There is no stat that is not amazing. Like every stat for Serral is amazing. This dude is fucking like the best player who has played StarCraft that I've ever seen. He just makes like he can even make mistakes though because this game is so fucking intense. Like the thing I was talking about earlier about the lurkers being out of position and stuff. It's so fucking hard to do that though. It is so hard to do that. By the way, thank you for the sub again, SC2 Destroyer. I appreciate it, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And another one. Thank you, man. Is he better than Korean? Yes, I think Serral is better than Koreans as well. I also think he's proved that because he's beaten Koreans too. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Serral wins BlizzCon. He's so fucking good, dude. But let me just say this: Serral's a very rare, well-rounded player, which is why this dude wins so many tournaments. He's insane.
Oh, yeah.
SC2 Destroyer getting crazy with the subs. Thank you, man. I'm just going to finish off what I'm going to say or else this outro's going to take forever. But I fucking love it. I appreciate it. I love you, man. Reynor, however, I think this guy he's obviously young. He's 16. But Reynor is a player that is really mechanically gifted. This dude's fucking insane when it comes to just like microing engagements and army control and macro, or just raw macro. I think overall, his decision making is not up to the level of Serral's, and his scouting is also not up to the level of Serral's. I feel like that kind of was the story early in the game because I feel like he was being a little bit risky early in the game with the scouting shit we talked about and how greedy he was. And then I feel like it was also the story of the game in the mid game because he was going for a style that doesn't really, it has a lot of power right away, but then it kind of drops off really hard after 10 minutes, which is Roach Ravager. Like he was going really hard Roach Ravager for a while. He went like for a couple lurkers at one point in the game and then he just gave up on it. He's like, fuck it. Because lurkers are really hard. They're better, but they're really hard to like use it throughout the game. Like this, he's got a lot of potential. Reynor's an insanely good player. And if he like, you know, I feel like brushes up, but if he like improves on the other things that I think he's weak at right now, I think he could be as good as Serral, if not possibly even better than Serral in the future. Who knows? But yeah, I think Reynor definitely was the one who was the guy who was kind of like running out of gas faster than Serral was. But they both played insanely well. They both played their styles well. I just think Serral's style that he played, which was the more control consume style, is actually just a more powerful style overall. Like he just chose a stronger style, and he executed it up to par to be able to win the game with it. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. This is the first time I've done a pro level, like a top level pro game of replay analysis. Shout out to Plasmid again for putting it up. And guys, thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, have a good one. Peace, guys. Peace. Bye. See ya. How many times am I going to say guys in this outro? Later, everybody. Peace.